By using their AI and ML-powered Indigo unstructured data platform, Indigo enables companies to transform unstructured data into a wide range of enterprise workflows to gain rich insight and maximize value. Find out how they help insurers to streamline underwriting, claims analysis, regulatory compliance, and more by unlocking the value of their unstructured data. Please welcome Indigo Data.
Great, well, welcome. Thanks for the time this afternoon. I'm very excited to have a discussion around solving insurance intake with the topic of the day, right? Large language models, GPT-4, et cetera. I'm joined by Dori Zimnock, who is a global industry digital strategist for Microsoft. Dori, welcome.
Thank you very much. Hola, Barcelona. Are we okay?
Maybe to get started, talk a little bit about your role in general and how Microsoft thinks about going to market vertically versus obviously well known as a horizontal technology provider.
Thank you. So I'm a financial services expert. I spent over 20 years of my career, first with banking and then with insurance industry. So I feel very home here. However, working with customers around the world, I've heard a lot that financial services are technology company that happen to have a banking or insurance license. And that motivated me to move closer to the beginning of the value chain, and that's how I joined Microsoft. And today my role at Microsoft is to help clients around the world, working with the strategy teams and boards, and solve the largest problems with the use of latest technologies. Excellent.
So obviously, over the course of today, a lot of discussion around digital transformation. Maybe do a checkpoint here. What have insurance companies done well on their digital transformation journey, and where are they still gapping? How do you think about that in the conversations you have with your customers?
So first of all, I must applaud the insurance industry that it's really woke up in the last several years, and the transformation really kicked off full swing. I remember for many, many years taking example of banking and always hoping that the same will be reflected in the insurance industry. I think this is no longer the case. I think insurance is already fully emerging to digital transformation, and particularly with the events like COVID that really accelerated this journey. So what we experience obviously as Microsoft is to see a lot of clients moving to cloud. And I'm really pleased and very happy to see that. Yet I feel like there is still journey there to go. And why I'm mentioning this, because today we are to talk about ChatGPT and GPT in general, and a lot of new technologies. And if we want to benefit from them, we need to really make sure that the foundations are there, because otherwise, like we will be late for the train.
I like to think of it as, we're at the end of at least a 10-year journey to make data central to the organization's strategy. I don't think there's any major enterprise that exists today that has to be convinced of the value of data. We're at the beginning probably, though, of a new era around decisioning. So that's a very interesting topic as it relates to Microsoft's huge bet on generative AI with the partnership with OpenAI. How do you see the intersection of decisioning and the explosion of use of generative AI? How is that playing into Microsoft's strategy?
Yes, so insurance obviously is a very interesting industry in general, because this is the single industry that would not exist without data, right? It all starts with data. You cannot do risk analysis without data, etc. However, at the same time, obviously, for a long, long time, where the data was used was very, I would say, reactive and very static in a way. So, and I remember the times when we as a business often had some errors, and we had to our data studio people and ask them and wait in a queue in the MIS to get some report, to be able to make some decisions, often late to the market, because this happened often when I was working for insurance industry. And I think right now, the beauty is that we have been empowered through technology to finally start using, transforming data into insights and insights into actions. which is nothing more, nothing less, but the principle of driving change, right? We have awareness, acceptance, action. We have awareness because we have a data there. We have acceptance because now we know we want to drive some actions on this. And now we are enabled to drive actions as well, which is really super empowering, I think.
Yeah, excellent. So we've seen insurance companies invest huge amounts of money into these decision platforms, core systems, core platforms, and have had success with that. A lot of talk around outcomes. Let's now shift a little bit to talk about this problem of intake. Why is digital intake such a hot topic right now, and where do your conversations lead you with customers around solving that digital intake challenge?
Yeah, so obviously there is a lot of data influx, and the question is first, can I trust the data? What's the quality data? Then how can I use this data? What can I do with this? And this is a very challenging topic. The beauty is that we want to solve this topic right now, and actually every conversation I have with the insurance companies right now starts with that. You said that there is a lot of money that was invested, and that's true. However, I think the beauty of where we are today right now as well is that the opportunities we have with using ChatGPT and so on means that we really don't need to invest all these millions of dollars today in order to start driving value. So when I looked at what our customers do when they need to solve the problem, they really go with the small kind of POCs first, find the largest pain points, take one at a time, but they can move very, very quickly. You know, when the GPT became kind of a mass market, right? It's been a few months, and we are so impressed with how many customers have already solutions up and running, you know, because it took them 3-4 weeks to implement. And I can talk about some examples here, but they are really impressive how finally, also it's not the task of one single unit like IT or something, it's really energizing the whole companies. So for the first time, I really, really see how business and IT come together and start talking the same language. You know, that barrier of I have a need, I give it to IT, I will sit there and wait. One day it will come back or not. And then when it comes back, let's hope it's what I asked for. It's not there right now. I almost enjoy, you know, some sparring sessions where the customers sit and brainstorm in front of our eyes. Like, okay, how we do that? This is really a game changer. I must say, I observe this daily with insurance.
We announced our integration yesterday, Indico and Microsoft, using Azure OpenAI. We're very excited about that. When you think about sort of the before generative AI and after generative AI, what are some of the big things that you would recommend for insurance carriers, insurance brokers, the whole industry to think about? What's really changed? You know, you said it correctly. It's a decade in the making, but it feels like it happened overnight, essentially.
Yes, and I think, you know, it all needs to link to business problems, really. One thing I want to mention is that obviously with the new technologies, there's always this appetite to start solving problem or finding technology to solve the problem. And I think we have enough problems to solve, and so we need to focus on those. And I think this is what needs to happen. So, you know, look at your flow, look at your customer journey. That's what we do with a lot of customers. And honestly, we start with the small things. For example, we identify that there is a customer calling to the call center. There is the conversation in the call center, and then when it finishes, the advisor needs to do a lot of like paperwork or type into the system, send some actions, for example, I don't know, follow-up emails, etc. What we have right now is that I will have a conversation as an advisor over the phone with a client, and I will say, okay, I will attach the documents in an email and will send them to you. What is really happening, as I am saying these words, this email is being compiled, right? So when I hang up, this email I check, I like it, send. So it's happening, you know, in a real time. Imagine now what it does for customer. Like, what's the experience of customer? He feels like he didn't really properly like hang up on the phone yet, and already the email is there. These are the simple things, one by one. First notification of loss. Another example, very recently, one of our customers did. They love it. Customer called, you know, full of emotions, like I had an accident, etc. It was all captured, you know, and the action was kicked off without really too many questions, etc. Because, you know, like at this moment in time, you don't want to go into all the procedures, etc. This is where we're heading. We are heading into what I would say even more human world, even though with technology, if that makes sense. But you mentioned about this great collaboration we have. And so I would like to turn a little bit this back to you, Tom. So Microsoft is actually what we do really well. We do two things really well. One, we provide a platform. That's what we do. We use our technology to build platforms. And the second thing, what we do, we integrate ecosystems. We really put all our efforts and energy into integrating ecosystems. In other words, when we have a platform, we know what problems need to be solved. We have our customers. We invite our partners, just like Indico Data, to help us and really build on that platform and solve the solutions. So would you like to describe what we've just launched yesterday?
Yeah, absolutely. I think what's interesting about GPT-4, you know, all of the new large language models and various flavors is, I like to describe it very much as a new programming language. It's a programming language with data as opposed to code, and you can program it with English today, you know, more languages in the future, but that's a really transformative effect, which means that perhaps everyone in the company is, you know, can become a software programmer in the sense that if you've used ChatGPT, you are programming essentially, right, with prompts. And so I think that the opportunity that we identified in working with Microsoft is the world of let's talk about prompts for a minute. Prompting GPT-4 becomes a new skill set. And the way you're going to manage the prompts and prompting within the organization becomes a question of who can create prompts, who can edit prompts, how do prompts get stored, how do prompts get audited to see what prompt was used to produce what data at what time. The idea of scalability as well. So how do I deploy GPT-4 at scale across different use cases? So the collaboration here is I really see Azure OpenAI as a supercharger, you know, to the application that Indico's built to help insurance customers turn unstructured data into structure.
I'm almost prompted with the prompt here to ask the audience, if I were to ask you, if you don't mind, because I'm very curious now.
Yeah.
Can you raise your hand if you ever privately, for now, not as a company, but privately, use any ChatGPT like functionality?
Yeah.
Okay, and now can I see the hands up for those who, as a company, already experiment with ChatGPT? Okay. So I hope you've watched your neighbors. What I would like to do after this chat is for those who are already experimenting to talk to those neighbors who are not yet and explain to them why.
Right.
But that's just on the side.
Exactly, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so I think there's a whole new set of mandates to deploy this technology successfully around safety, security, scalability. And it really is the combination of GPT-4 as a new programming language and corpus and application, whether it's Indico or a whole set of explosion of applications around this. To talk about a bit maybe Microsoft's strategy as an ecosystem enabler and how you think about ISVs like Indico and others with respect to Microsoft.
Yeah, so as I say, you know, our engagement starts usually with the clients and with identifying the problems of the clients, right? So there is the business context of that. Once we have the business context, then we usually work with the client to understand also technology context. So what's already out there, what's missing, how can this problem be solved? And on that basis, we are then advising and working on the strategies how to take it forward. very often this strategy is actually leading to partnership. That's how we work with the partners like Indico. And of course, what is extremely important as well to mention, and I bet if we have, open to questions, that's probably the one that is coming first. Okay, but what about governance? Is it safe, right? Is it ethical, etc.? All these questions, I address them up front because I know you are probably asking them. So there is the importance of setting up the whole governance around it. So, if you are testing for individual case, fine. You can ask any questions and you can test the ChatGPT the way you want. But really, if you want to do it for a company, you want to be responsible. You wouldn't put the private customer data through the open network, right? And throw to right and left, obviously. So this governance and making sure that we as human control the technology and not the other way around is extremely important. And we play a big role here as well. We work with governments, we work with the government bodies, if you like, and together with other companies, we bring together this governance as well, which is, I think, extremely important.
When you think about the right metaphor here, is this robots or bionic arm? There's a lot of talk about AI displacing labor versus enabling labor. How does Microsoft think about that?
We think about this technology definitely as a copilot. So if you're thinking, the world will be replaced by robots, that's not what we think. Shall I say there will be opportunities where you will have end-to-end automation? Yes, of course there will be, because otherwise, there won't be the progress. But in general, we think about the ChatGPT as a co-pilot functionality, something that helps you, something that in this world is needed more than ever before, which is to do and achieve more with less. So imagine it's like your assistant to the side that is basically allowing to do extra tasks, extra checks, faster analysis of data, summarization, translation, creation of content. But unless you as a human being at the end of the line agree with that, and you have the last mile to say, yes, please create this action, without that, the technology should not take these actions. So we are encouraging our customers to think this way, and we also help them to think this way, that this is really the parallel copilot functionality for everything we do. And I give you an example of my private life, like in a work, but for example, every day in the morning, I receive an email which gives me the summary of my day. That's already with the copilot at the back, right? And it tells me, today you have 3 meetings. These are the last actions you discussed and agreed to. These are the people who will be coming to the meeting. These are the points you want to discuss in this meeting. Here are the documents will be needed for you. And I get this in the morning, I review it, I go into the meeting, online or offline, full prepared. I remember doing this on Sunday evening before I went to work, on Monday, spending I don't know how many hours to feel that I'm prepared on Monday. Now, it's half an hour on Monday morning just to refresh myself. This is what the copilot is bringing to life.
Yeah, I think what we see is within underwriting, claims, policy support, policy servicing, I think Deloitte estimated about 40% of the effort in those tasks is the manual data entry, open the email, download the PDF, whatever it might be. And it turns out that that's work that those folks don't really want to do, right? It's tedious and gets in the way of their core job, which is the decision, right? Should we underwrite this risk? Should we approve this claim? How can we respond to the customer quickly?
What is also, I think, important to mention, I hear a lot from our clients that there is this dynamic changing a little bit right now, that in the past, it was really in insurance world, price was #1 factor to lead on decision making in many aspects. Today, it's really the time to the decision is almost like taking over, but then also the pricing strategies as well. And the beauty of the ChatGPT is, again, that it can help with these too, right? So imagine the situation that me as a broker, I write an email in a free format, I send it to the insurer for quote, and then it's already out of business, so I'm waiting the whole day to receive the answers. Well, the answers were there. They could have been in this manual document, but there was no solution to answer, right? I may lose a business, right? As a reinsurer, if I didn't respond in time, I may lose this business. If I have the solution that responds on my behalf, you know, that's a value generation right there, with really not that much investment you need to do. It's setting processes, it's finding those low-hanging fruits, really, and basically solve them on the spot. Usually in 2-3 weeks, you can have the solution up and running.
Yeah, I think the old expression now is AI won't replace underwriters, but underwriters using AI will replace underwriters who don't use AI. So that is I think the...
Love it. Did we hear it? I will put it as a quote, you know, if you texting in LinkedIn, Tom said, because I totally agree with you. I think, you know, there is no, like, we cannot stop this revolution. The technology, you know, ChatGPT and everything will move forward. It's our decision how we respond to that. We can, you know, sit and wait and observe and then think, like, how did we miss the train? I think at the minimum what we should do is to really put our hands on and experiment. Because today, the data is being democratized. You don't need to have the skills any longer. When I say you, it's you personally, but also your organization. It's not that you need to hire another 20 new data scientists before you can move on. Actually, you can move on right now. You can start testing the prompts. You can start testing solutions. And I think, you know, based on the hands that were up during the conversation, there's still way to go. So I hope, you know, this will inspire you to test some more.
Yeah, I think that what we see is that if you fast forward and think about deploying this technology across the organization, it's helpful to think about what new challenges will that create, right? It solves a bunch of things. What new challenges does it create around compliance, governance? How will you deploy it? You mentioned still an urgent need for companies to accelerate their cloud strategies. You don't need to have exclusively a cloud strategy, but you need a cloud strategy to use these kind of technologies. You know, GPT-4 is a massive, massive model that can't be lifted up and installed inside the firewall, but can be tailored and fine-tuned for specific customers, but still is a cloud-based solution. So yet another motivation for having a robust cloud strategy.
Yes, and I was very inspired by what we've heard in the previous session, which was all about digital transformation, and I hope that part of the digital transformation that was discussed was actually transformation to the cloud as well, because I agree with you, there are foundations that need to happen, otherwise, you know, I have a very wide variety of clients in the insurance space, and those who are very advanced and those who start the journey. And I must, you know, I couldn't tell you enough what's the difference it makes in which part of this or where on this journey you already are. Like how many new opportunities. I would say that those who are early, it's more about automation. It's more about fixing the basic problems. The more you move on the cloud, on the curve, for Horizon 2, Horizon 3 projects, we call them, the more you will see value creation, the more you will see new business models, the more you know, one will experience also something which I'm a huge believer in, which is the convergence of technologies, convergence of industries, and convergence of the, you know, ever more connected world. Right? Because you will have a capability to also connect to other industries that already have cool solutions. But if you're not ready, you cannot kind of connect with them.
We've talked quite a bit about what organizations can do to adopt these technologies. What would be some of your recommendations for folks in the audience as individuals, right? As team members at these companies? What should you be thinking about to upskill yourself, to make sure that this technology is a relevant part of your day-to-day life? How do you think about that?
Yeah, so I think I would link again to the beginning when I mentioned this process of awareness, acceptance, action. I would give it to the individual person as well. So wherever you are on this journey, right, if you are in awareness, which you know, all of you are here already learning about some of these things, so that's an awareness. There is tons of material free of charge out there, you know, in LinkedIn and wherever you can find on different platforms. I would say, educate yourself, read about this. I must say that they are ever less tech heavy, so they're really pleasant to read, even on Sunday evening, to that point, and to learn about this. Then accept, so find yourself a case, something maybe safer to say, okay, I will try it there. And then once you get some confidence with your team, individually, etc., then it's all time to action. So move on.
Yeah, I think that prompting, becomes a new skill everyone will need to have, and understanding how GPT-4 and other large language models, quote unquote, think becomes really important. And the idea that context drives the output that you get, and the ability to provide the right context with the prompt. So whether it's sharing existing data that's relative to the prompt, and understanding how to improve your prompting skills as individuals will become more and more important as a basic skill set. I think that one of the things that we've invested in is in our prompt studio providing a feedback loop with metrics to show you, okay, I just edited this prompt. Did I improve the results or did the results degrade? And I think right now that's a little bit of generally trial and error. So we certainly are trying to bring some metrics to that question so I can see, accuracy metrics. Okay, I just edited this prompt, it's better or not. And I think that has broader implications to the company, which is what I referenced before, who can create these prompts in a production environment, who can edit these prompts, how do we know these prompts are working? It's very similar to the software development lifecycle, which is you would never commit code in production with no QA, right? And so similar sort of metaphor exists here, I think.
Yes, and I think this, what you've just described, is very important. We do a lot of this, even just as a team exercise. We now and then like to, to entertain, but really for the right reason ourselves, saying, okay, we have this query from client. Let's ask each individually, ChatGPT, let's see how we ask and what answers we get. And then we compare them and we discuss them. That helps to build also intel inside our team and understand, how to build demos and POCs for our clients, etc. But I think one very important element of that is also that we equipped our ChatGPT functionality also with spotting the risky queries, right? And flagging the risky queries.
Right.
So you can also, learn. So there is a mechanism built in, if you like, that allows you to protect yourself from going with, with cheating or with compromising data or etc. And I think it's also important because the more you test the model, the more you catch also this type of the risks. And then you can, as a governance model, you can go through those and you can decide in the future how to treat your model, how to react to those.
So human in the loop remains a very important piece of this to make sure those decisions are robust and accountable. And that's going to continue to be the case. As powerful as GPT-4 is, it still is not perfect in terms of its ability to recall all the relevant information or sometimes add extra information that it shouldn't. So I think that's human in the loop continues to be a very important part of the equation here.
Totally agree. So I guess our message here is if you were hoping that from tomorrow you can go on holidays and you have the ChatGPT doing all your work, not quite. But the good news is you now have a new friend who is sitting next to you and is ready to work there for you. So don't be shy. Just ask the ChatGPT to help you with your daily tasks, I guess.
Right. This notion of co-pilot, human in the loop, et cetera, becomes really, really powerful as sort of the assistant.
And I think also what's important, we talk a lot about text, and when people think ChatGPT, they think about, text environment, writing prompts, etc. But obviously the technology goes farther, right? It's about codecs as well, so writing code for those who are more advanced, more into, low-code, no-code solutions and so on. But that there is also DALL-E and solutions that are helping with images as well. And that's also a very important piece of technology that we're using, especially, imagine simple scenario that today you ask customer to provide the data and fill the lengthy forms. what if instead I just give, the one document that has all this data, and it's automatically, the forms are filled based on this document. Everything is, is prepared for me, and it saves time. It saves human errors of retyping, etc. So it's important to understand that it's not just text. It's really wider spectrum of capabilities.
Absolutely. Well, great. Any last advice for the audience when thinking about generative AI and the intake challenge here as we wind down on time?
I'm not sure if it's last piece of advice, because I think we spoke about quite a few. Maybe just a wish that we will be observing how the world is changing. So if we see acceleration, I will take it on us, Tom, that this session was successful and we moved the needle, right? So don't let us down, please. We wish you all the luck and all the fun as ChatGPT really offers. And we are here. Reach out to us, whether in this conference or outside this conference. Always happy to support you on your journey.
Yeah, and if you're interested in learning more about the partnership and the Indico solution, we're over in B5 out on the show floor there. Well, Dory, I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much. Hope you all got value from it. It's obviously an incredibly urgent topic and an exciting topic that's on everyone's mind right now. So thanks a lot, Dory.
Thank you very much, everybody.